Welcome to our healthcare panel. Tonight, we have 4 panelists that I'd like to introduce to all of you. We have Angela Brown from Cassia. We have Rob Brock from Boston Scientific. We have Anila Idani from Habit Aware, and we've got Christy Moline from Bethel University. My name is Molly Wickham, and I'm going to be your moderator tonight. And we've got Judy Jones, who is here today as well, providing technical support.
Sure, and I think part of it is what we've just been talking about, and that's that self-awareness of who am I and what skills do I bring to the table, what can I develop, and what am I just not wired to do. I love the Strengths Finder as well. I'll give another plug for that. One of mine is a ranger. So I am an HR generalist in a company that has 5,500 employees, and it's a sweet spot for me. I love doing, all the different things and making it all come together. So I think that's a huge part of, knowing who you are and where you fit. And we've also talked a little bit about what the journey is like. I'm learning more and more in life, that life is not about the destination, but it's about the journey. So using those experiences and jobs that maybe if it isn't where you want to end up long-term, that there are at least skills that you're developing and things that you can leverage and learn from to maybe get you to where you want to go, or to learn more about, what you do want to do. I am really a strong believer that the soft skills are exceptionally important. The technical skills are important as well. Don't get me wrong. You need to have the technical expertise, but that can be more easily taught. If there's somebody who has those soft skills, that is a lot harder to teach. So at Cassia, we have a number of values that we go through that are core to who we are. And I think they really reflect what I feel in our organization are those key soft skills. So I'll read through them quickly, but I think you'll get a feel for, those types of skills that are especially important to us. So one is compassion. We are a healthcare organization at our core. So to serve, it says to serve and love like Christ by seeking to understand, walking alongside and lifting each other up. Integrity is a big part of what we need. Nurturing trusting relationships and making honesty the foundation for all interactions. Excellence, we are not only a healthcare organization, but a service organization. So distinguishing ourselves by anticipating needs and exceeding expectations. Innovation is key to who we are. Healthcare, frankly, most industries these days are changing quickly, and the ability to innovate and change with that is important. So being able to create an environment where we are empowered to foster and celebrate new ideas is key. We talk about stewardship. We are a nonprofit, which means, we are not here to line the pockets or to necessarily, our goal is not necessarily to bring income to shareholders, to stockholders. And yet we have to have money to continue the ministry too. So faithfully caring for and utilizing those resources. Unity, and really focusing on what we have in common, living out the mission and vision and values of our organization. We certainly have lots of differences, but focusing on that as well. Respect. We talked a little bit earlier about the people that we care for sometimes being an undervalued member of society. So treating those people, but also our other team members and our other leaders with dignity and consideration and care. And collaboration is our last one, which I think is especially important, not only from an individual interpersonal standpoint, but if you take it up to within a team, within various departments and the different teams collaborating. And then even on the organizational level, we as an organization are involved in a number of joint ventures where we've said, boy, this is not a particular area of business that we could get into on our own. But if we do a joint venture and we collaborate with this other organization, we can create something that is stronger that we couldn't do necessarily on our own. So those are the types of soft skills that I'm really seeing as valuable in our organization. Again, just built on that firm foundation of technical expertise in the functional area.
That is a great list of soft skills. I wrote them all down. It's wonderful. Rob.
Yeah, so I'll talk soft skills first, and I've just written down a couple of them that I think are really critical as I look at all of the different functions across Boston Scientific and MedTech broadly. I've seen people come into the organization and languish or not succeed or get frustrated and leave. And I think it's generally a lack of these skills. And number one, honestly, is teamwork. We work in teams constantly, every single day. Very few people do anything as individuals. I have a large domain of responsibility that I drive as an individual, and yet everything I do is through relationships. And that's true whether you're in marketing or operations or any part of the organization. Teamwork is essential. And that's one of the things that I think we value very highly. There are a lot of technical skills that you can learn as you go, but teamwork is essential. You need to be able to work within the team. Corollary to that are your interpersonal skills and especially written communications. A lot of what we do, because we work in a highly regulated environment, is documented. And if you don't document it, it didn't actually happen. And so the ability to have quality written communication skills, to be able to write quickly, coherently, and be able to communicate effectively through that, that's just really, really important. And those two things, I think, more than anything else, are the keys to success at the organizations where I've been and in medtech broadly. Now, beyond that, because we do work in a highly regulated environment, I would say for Boston Scientific, you need the ability to follow procedures carefully, because we have procedures for everything we do, but to innovate within those constraints. So within this regulated environment, there are a lot of requirements, a lot of procedures that we have to follow, that if you just read the procedures published by the FDA or European authorities, it'll put you to sleep at night. But you've got to be able to focus in on that and follow the process, but within that, to be able to do something meaningful and innovate. And so that's really important. From a technical standpoint, of course, coming into a place like Boston Scientific, it's helpful to have a knowledge of human anatomy and understanding of basic physiology. And yet those are still things that you can learn. So if you come into our customer service or our operations or finance areas, or even just something straight in an engineering or support role, you can learn those things, because maybe on a day-to-day basis and you're not using those. But it's really helpful to understand what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it and how it fits in with the broader whole. So, and obviously with that domain-specific knowledge, if you're coming into accounting and finance, to have some knowledge within that. But broadly, what I would say is that you need the ability to, in a highly regulated med tech company like Boston Scientific, to learn highly technical subjects and skills quickly and to be able to master them. And so if we're evaluating candidates coming in and they can demonstrate, even in another industry altogether, that they can master highly technical skills, can follow procedure and operate within constraints and innovate within that, that's something that we're going to value, even if you don't have a healthcare background at all. And so if you're thinking about transitioning into healthcare, those are some of the critical foundational skills that I think you need to have.
Thank you. Anila?
Yeah, so Habitaware is a team of about 8 people right now, so we're still pretty small, so we don't have, I think this would be a good exercise for us to do in terms of a sort of charter of our values and sort of company culture, if you will. But the way that we're kind of grouped is pretty much technical, marketing, communications, and customer outreach, and then sort of business innovation and vision and sort of the growth of the company. And they're kind of they all sort of overlap a little bit, so everyone wears all the hats, if you will. So for us, the biggest things that we look for are people that are proactive and can see that there's a problem and not wait for someone else to fix it, but to jump in and solve it, or to at least get the conversation going that it needs to be solved. Curiosity, where we started our company based on curiosity. Does me knowing when I'm engaging in this behavior and this vibrate, is that enough for someone to change their behavior. And even as we evolve the technology and move into, new use cases and things like that, we need that curiosity, that desire to innovate, that desire to problem solve. And then much like Rob was saying, communication, especially now that we've gone all remote, mostly remote, most of our communication is quick Slack chats. And how do you communicate a bug in an app over 150 characters basically, because that's what chat basically is. And so open communication, and even like not waiting to solve something because you haven't figured it out, like asking questions and staying not waiting days for the team call to say, oh, I haven't gone to that yet because I didn't know this question, right? Like being, again, proactive and reaching out, especially we're not all as we used to be, just, hey, John, can you tell me this, right? Now we have to be more deliberate in how we talk to each other, so that we can keep things moving.
Thank you. Christy.
Yeah, I think my benefit is I get to listen to all these and then chime in where I feel like things are missing. I would have a lot of the same feedback. And I think what I would share too is early on in the work of the Center for Healthcare Excellence, we did engage industry partners, and I asked them exactly this question. Building programs at Bethel, what attitudes, knowledge, and skills are important for your current and future workforce, and how will they change? So I think that's important too. What I got from that group was interesting, and Anila mentioned something that was a head scratcher to me because I hadn't thought of it before, but they said that they want problem seekers. I don't want somebody to just react when I present them with a problem. I want somebody to come to me and say, there's a better way to do this, and here's my proposed solution. So I think that's really important. And I think particularly for a lot of students at Bethel that I've seen, I don't know if this is different in, the CAPS MGS world or if it's our traditional undergraduate students, but my perspective is our traditional undergraduates sometimes are a little reserved. They're a little bit, and this is just generalizing, but maybe don't want to come off as too arrogant to say, I have a solution to this problem. But that's exactly what employers want. They want that proactive, I'm going to see problems, but I'm not just going to talk about problems, I'm going to bring you solutions. So problem seekers, team players, I think everyone mentioned that there is not a single job that I can think of within the healthcare marketplace where you're the only person and you don't have to work with others. So that's kind of something like if you're an independent worker, you're going to have to maybe learn that skill of how to work in teams and collaborate. I would say something that COVID has really highlighted too is the need to be flexible. And COVID has tapped all of us, I think, with this. And we've tried to instill we don't know what's going to happen a month from now. So we need you to be flexible. And the information we give you today might be different tomorrow. So we need you to be flexible. But I think that that's here to stay. I think that it's not just COVID. So I think take COVID as a good lesson for how you might leverage that in your career by just going with, the potential changes of the organization. Change is hard for a lot of people, but change is inevitable. So I think that those are the things that I would add, Molly, without repeating, everything that others have said. So.